When in Rome, Chapter 21. Antonio heard a commotion as soon as he landed the first floor. Someone was arguing with one of the officers in front of Maria's counter. He appeared to be a man in his 70s who held himself with a cane. And when Antonio heard him say a suspicious man standing in front of his house by the train station, he immediately rushed to meet the old man. And when the old man saw Antonio, he immediately pointed at him with his shaking index finger. "That's him. That's the guy that was stalking in front of my house." The officer that was calming down the old man turned his head to Antonio and asked, "What is he talking about?" Antonio shrugged. "I don't know." The officer appeared to be annoyed by the old man. He said, "You can talk to Officer Marcy. He may be able to help you more than I can," and walked away. Oh, the old man seemed to be calmer after he was introduced to what he thought was a suspect. "What were you doing in front of my house?" Antonio replied, "May I speak to you outside? What's wrong speaking to me right here?" "I'll explain as soon as we are out," he said pleadingly, as he gestured the old man to follow him and open the door for him. The old man hesitated for a moment and limping his way with his cane out of the building. Antonio followed him and took his hand out. "I'm very pleased to meet you." The old man shook his hand, but only after a few seconds later. He still appeared to be rigid. Antonio gave an awkward grin. "Please don't be uncomfortable. You have no idea how glad I am to see you." "What are you talking about?" The old man sounded perplexed. "What do you want? Why were you stalking me?" No, Antonio defensively replied. "It was not my intention to stalk anyone." "I'm listening," said the old man with a frown. "A kidnapping has occurred near the proximity of your residence. I saw your security camera facing the train track. I was hoping you were able to capture the suspect." "Mio Dio!" the old man exclaimed. "But I don't know if you were able to catch any, because it appears that you have very tall and thick bushes blocking your camera view." The old man laughed and seemed to have relaxed after hearing what Antonio said. Now it was Antonio's turn to frown. The old man said, "That camera is a fake." Antonio was disappointed. "So there never was filming going on?" "Yes, there was, and have been, just not that one," the old man responded proudly. "That camera was set up to make them think that I can't film them when if there is something going on. And the real camera would capture all." "Where?" The old man pursed his lips and stared at Antonio a little bit longer than necessary. "You want to know if I capture any footage of the kidnapping? See. Follow me." Out of courtesy, Antonio walked a few paces behind the old man, even though he was crunching for time to get to Rome to begin search and rescue. But he knew he must be patient, for it was most likely that the man with the cane has the ultimate evidence of all. As he pictured in his head of all the possible area that a camera would be able to film the stairway of the station without obstruction. The camera would have to be outside the door to be able to film the street, but there was none. "Don't walk behind me," said the old man. "You're making me nervous." "Scusi," Antonio replied, and quickened his pace to walk next to him. As they got close to the alley, Antonio suggested to take his Fiat but the old man refused. Once again, he did not want to press, knowing this elder already seemed rather suspicious and ill-tempered. "So, tell me," said the old man, "how do you know there was a kidnapping around here?" Antonio gave him the event that morning when he walked Molly to the station, and the investigation that led to the area that was most likely where she was taken. And when the old man asked about the camera in the tunnel as they passed it, Antonio told him it was broken. The old man replied, "I'm not surprised." As the senior citizen opened the gate of his condominium, Antonio asked where the real camera was. The old man did not respond, nor did he invite Antonio in. Instead, he turned around with the gate half open behind him. "So you think it was by the stairway?" "Yes, I believe it happened when she came out of that stairway." "All right, I'll be right back." Pacing back and forth in front of his building, and could not get the possible scenario of Molly off his head. The more he thought about it and about the green van purchased by the shack, the more he was certain that there was a connection. About 20 minutes has passed, and the old man still has not come out. Antonio began to panic. Time to decide. He entered through the gate and knocked on the door that was not closed. No response. He felt justified at the moment as he entered, and immediately saw the old man laying flat on the ground, face down. He rushed to his side and checked his pulse, which was still beating. He tried to wake him, but no response. He noticed there was a cut on the left corner of his forehead. The old man must have tripped on something and fell because there was a chair nearby that was protruding compared to the chair next to it, which was right against the wall. He dialed for the ambulance, which arrived less than 10 minutes. The paramedics hauled the old man into the ambulance and asked Antonio for the emergency contact. Antonio said he would be his temporary contact. The paramedic did not inquire further since Antonio showed him his badge. When the medics left, Antonio remained inside his condominium. This was the only opportunity to get a hold of the surveillance tape. He spotted the recorder and disc sitting next to it. He hit play and noticed it was a bird's eye view. Evidently the camera was near the edge of the roof. He pressed reverse button and watched closely, especially the time and date showing on the monitor. Suddenly he paused, and the screen froze. In it was an image of a girl just stepped out the stairs.